உயர்வர உயர்நலமுடையவன் எவனவன் மயர்வர மதிநலம் அருளினன் எவனவன் அயர்வரும் அமரர்கள் அதிபதி எவனவன் துயரது சுடரடி தொழுதெழன் மனனே. ஸ்ரீ விஷ்ணுச்சித்த குலநந்தன கல்பவல்லீம் ஸ்ரீ ரங்கராஜ ஹரிச்சந்தன யோகதிருஷ்யாம் சாக்ஷாத் க்ஷமா கருணா கமலாபிவான்யாம் கோதாமனன்ய சரணம் பிரபத்யே. அஹோபிலே காருடசைலமத்தியே கிருபாவசாத் கல்பிதசன்னிதானம் லக்ஷ்மியா சமாலிங்கித வாமபாகம் லக்ஷ்மீ நிருசிம்மம் சரணமஹம் பிரபத்யே. உலகம் யாவையும் தாம் உளவாக்கலும் நிலைபெறுத்தலும் நீக்கலும் நீங்களா அழகிலா விளையாட்டுடையார் அவர் தலைவர் அன்னவர்க்கே சரண் நாங்களே. Earlier this morning, I happened to go to some vegetable shopping, and I happened to pick up some gooseberries or amla or nellikkai. As I was buying this, it brought back to my memory a story about Bharata from Ramayana. I thought it was pertinent to probably make a video and share the story with you all. What has gooseberry or amla or nellikkai got to do with Bharata? It's a fascinating story. In the popular narrative, Bharata from the Ramayana is mainly known for his selfless act of abdicating or not accepting the throne, and instead pursuing Rama as Rama was heading into the forest for his Vanavasa, and trying to convince Rama to come back and accept the throne. But once Rama firmly declined, Bharata is known for taking Rama's padukas and then placing them on the throne and not even entering Ayodhya and ruling the kingdom, because there had to be a king out of Nandigrama, which was outskirts of Ayodhya. But that's just the popular narrative. That's all we know, right, about Bharata, and we know much lesser about Shatrughna in the popular narrative. The Kamba RāmāyaNam, in the Kamba RāmāyaNam, Kavi Chakravarti Kamban in his Tamil RāmāyaNam beautifully weaves a narrative of Bharata and brings forth so many different qualities of him. And that's the story for today, Kamba RāmāyaNam and Bharata. Dasharatha does the Putra Kameshti Yaga. 4 children are born. The children are in the palace, the kids, the babies. Dasharatha invites the Kulaguru Vasishta to bless the kids, babies, and name them. Vasishta comes, first looks at a cradle. There is a dark baby that is putting its hand out towards Vasishta. Vasishta, who is a Trikalagnani, who knows everything, who can see everything, immediately realizes this is Narayana himself who has come as an avatara, and he immediately recollects the event of Gajendra Moksha, where a crocodile catches hold of an elephant's leg in the pond, and the elephant calls for Adi Moolam, Narayana, and Narayana immediately comes and vanquishes the crocodile and protects the elephant and gives moksham to Gajendra. He says this is the same person, and then gives the name Rāma. Then he goes to the next cradle and he sees another baby, and when he sees the baby, the thing that runs in his mind is, this baby is going to be like a gooseberry held on one's palm. Ullangai nellikkai. And then he names him Bharata, but repeats the name several times. Bharata, 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 Bharata. The purport is, Bharata was meant to be someone who should be ruling, but he would never get to rule. So Vasishta sees that, but in this context he uses the term, this baby will be like a gooseberry or an nellikkai or an amla held on one's palm. What is the relevance to the gooseberry and why this particular incident. We'll look at it in the end once again. But from here on, I would like to share from Kamba Rāmāyaṇam 4 stories or 4 instances from the Kamba Rāmāyaṇam related to Bharata. Each of these stories go on to show what a fantastic character Bharata was. The first instance is when Vishwamitra comes to the palace, seeks a favor from Dasharatha, takes Rama and Lakshmana with him. As they go to the forest, and then the Tatakavadam happens, and then from there on they go to Mithila. There, Vishwamitra first talks about Dasharatha, the lineage that he comes from, the yaga that he does, the 4 kids that he's got, and he's Rama and he's Lakshmana, and then he says there are 2 other sons of Bharata, of Dasharatha. And there, when he talks about Bharata, he says, and this is Vishwamitra explaining or introducing the family to Janaka. He says, Bharata is a staunch dharmic and he is equal to Rama when it comes to matters of dharma. So the first instance, Bharata gets equated to Rama in matters of dharma. Fast forward to a few more episodes. Dasharatha feels old. Kamban beautifully describes how there is just one single grey hair close to his ear in the side locks. And Dasharatha says the hair has come to send him a message that it is time to hand over the kingdom. So Bharata immediately calls for a meeting of the ministers. He decides to make Rama the king, invites Rama to the palace, tells him about the intention. Rama is back, and then Kaikeyi comes, the old boons are reminded, and Kaikeyi wants Rama banished to the forest and Bharata to be made the king. Now the news goes to Rama. Now Rama immediately gets ready to leave to the forest. The news is relayed to Rama by Kaikeyi herself, and then Rama gets ready to leave to the forest. Now Kausalya is not yet aware of it. Kausalya is aware of the fact that Rama would be crowned the king the next morning. She doesn't know whatever has happened subsequently. And Rama is going to Kausalya's chamber to meet her, tell her about it, and tell the goodbyes and leave to the forest. The scene is beautifully, very poetically, Kamban brings out a lot of human emotions, subtle emotions, and when talking about this particular scene, there is Kausalya sitting in her chamber, Rama is going. Kausalya expected Rama to come with the crown and with the royal jewelry and all of that, and when she sees Rama coming just clothed in wooden bark and no crown, just hair done, she immediately realizes something's gone wrong. Now she probably realizes the crowning event has not happened, and her first reaction is, I'm an old woman. I have seen a lot of highs and lows in life. I've been disappointed and I can take it in my stride. But here is a young kid who yesterday was told that he would be king, but today probably something's happened and he's not yet been made king. So how will he deal with it? Whereas Rama, in his mind, never the one for power and always taking everything in his stride, has already accepted the decision and he's ready to go to the forest. His concern is, how will my mother feel? What will her emotions be if she gets to know this is happening? So he is worried about her and she is worried about him. In this kind of a tension, right, an emotionally tensed, charged atmosphere, when Rama goes, Kausalya breaks the ice with the first statement or first interaction. And she asks a very interesting question. She says, has the crowning of the king for this kingdom stopped? She doesn't care about Rama. She's like, you are just another individual. To me, the more important thing is the welfare of this kingdom. The kingdom was supposed to have a new king, and has that stopped? Has something happened to that? Rama immediately would have put his chest up and he's like, this is my mother. Look at her vision, look at her clarity. Rama's answer is, the crowning event has been delayed. The kingdom will get a king, and it will be your favorite son Bharata. Interestingly, Kausalya's favorite among the four was Bharata, and Kaikeyi's favorite among the four was Rama. So Rama says, your favorite kid, Bharata, is going to get the crown. Kausalya closes her eyes, takes that news in, and then cautiously says, there is something called tradition. The tradition in the Surya Kula, Surya Vamsa, has been that the eldest son becomes the king. That tradition seems to have been disturbed a bit with this, but that is fine. That's the only concern I have. But if Bharata is going to become the king, I'm happy because he is better than you. He is even better than you. This is Kausalya telling Rama. She puts Bharata a step ahead of Rama. So first we saw Vishwamitra saying Bharata is as good as Rama. He equates them. Now in this case, Kausalya goes one step ahead and puts Bharata even higher, on a higher pedestal than Rama. Fast forward, all the goodbyes happen. Rama, Sita, Lakshmana leave for the forest. Bharata comes back to Ayodhya, gets the news. Bharata wants to convince Rama. He takes some of his ministers, and a lot of people follow him. He is going after Rama. He wants to find Rama, get him back to Ayodhya. So Bharata gets close to the river, the Sarayu. On the other side, there is Guha, friend of Rama, the boatman who helped Rama, Sita, Lakshmana cross the river and into the forest. Guha, the moment he sees a big army approaching the other bank of the river, he's on the other side, he immediately realizes this is going to be Bharata, right? And he fears. His only interaction or knowledge about Bharata and everything was Lakshmana narrating all the story of what happened in the palace as they were crossing the river. Now immediately in Guha's mind, he's got a lot of anger towards Bharata. He wants to take on Bharata. He feels this is Bharata not happy with just banishing Rama from the kingdom, wants to come and fight and finish off Rama, so the kingdom is always his. This is forever his. This is Guha's initial instinct. He immediately gathers his men. He takes the bow, strings the arrow, aims at Bharata, who's on the other side of the river. And then he actually climbs on a small hillock or a stone or a rock, and then he looks at from the distance and he realizes Bharata doesn't seem to be one prepared for a war, right? He's not got all the weapons on him. He's very simply clothed, and he's got his hands raised in the Anjali Mudra above his head. He's in fact actually worshipping Rama, and as he's trying to meet him, right? That's Bharata. But still, his initial anger hasn't gone. Guha gets angry. He's still angry, and he takes the bow and arrow and he's aiming. And then Sumantra, one of the ministers with Bharata, and he used to be a minister of Dasharatha as well, now guiding Bharata. Sumantra comes forward close to Bharata and says, Bharata, the other side, look at what's happening. There is this guy who's fierce, who's very volatile, who's very moody, and who's very angry, easily short-tempered. There is Guha who's trying to fire arrows and kill you. So Sumantra set the scene for Bharata to also get angry, right? Now, while he's explaining who that Guha is, and he tells a lot of he's short-tempered and he's angry and whatnot, he says, this is Rama's friend, and this is the one who helped Rama cross this river. Now, to Bharata, nothing else falls in his ears except this one thing, right? Doesn't matter about his short temper, anger, frustration, preparedness for a war. Oh, is this Rama's friend? The hands just get lifted even higher. Bharata has got more respect for Guha now. And as they get closer, Guha crosses the river and comes to see what's happening, because Guha realizes he's not here for a fight. Bharata isn't here for a fight. And then as he comes closer, Bharata starts worshipping or praising Guha and says, are you the one who helped Rama. Here is a person whose mother did whatever trickery she had to, got the boon from the father, handed over the kingdom on a platter, throws it away like it is toxin, and then is coming back to bring back the brother and give the kingdom to him. What kind of a man are you? Guha is just stunned. Realization dawns that, Bharata is way, way bigger. And then Guha actually tells Bharata, what kind of a man are you? Throws away the kingdom that was handed to you on a platter, follows your brother, you yourself are looking like an ascetic now. How can you be this good? I think you are equal to 1,000 Ramas. You are as good as 1,000 Ramas put together. So third stage, Guha puts Bharata on a pedestal so high, he says, you are 1,000 times better than Rama. That's the third instance. And the final instance, the fourth instance, and look at the thread, right? The Guru Vishwamitra places Bharata equal to Rama. Rama's own mother places Bharata better than Rama. Guha, who's the subject of the kingdom, now says Bharata is 1,000 times better than Rama. He's equal to 1,000 Ramas put together. And finally, the Vanavasa happens, fast forward to almost towards the end of the story probably, where the 14 years of Vanavasa happens and Rama is expected to be back on a particular date and time. Rama had told Bharata he will be back to take over back on a particular day and time. When that day and time approaches, for some reason Rama is held back in a Rishi's ashrama. One of the Rishis asks Rama to accept his seva and then go forward. So Rama is delayed a little bit and Bharata is waiting, and he loses patience and he lights a pyre and he calls Shatrughna and says, the time has passed, Rama isn't here, I'm going to kill myself. Right? I don't want to live any longer. Let whatever happen. You take over the kingdom, and I'm going to just jump in the fire and kill myself. Now Shatrughna then makes a very interesting statement. He says, one brother just didn't care about the kingdom and went into the forest because of his father's words. Another brother treated the elder one as God himself and followed him to the forest. Here is a third brother who wants to jump into the fire because the first one hasn't come back on time. And you think I'm that shameless to take over the kingdom and rule? Do you really think you estimated me to be that low, that I would just take over power? What kind of fascination is this? What does power do to one? And Bharata immediately realizes and he says, okay, come, let's both of us fall into the fire. The news reaches Kausalya. Kausalya comes running. She stops Bharata. She has a conversation. She says, hold on. You are not supposed to do this. Wait. Bharata says, no, I'm not going to listen. The time is past. Rama is not here. I'm going to jump. Kausalya says, who is your God? According to you, who is your God? He says, it's Rama. Who do you think is Rama's God? He says, it's you, his parents, mother and father. She says, this is your God's God telling you, don't go ahead with your plan. He says, doing everything that your God says could be Rama's character. You try all those arguments with him. I'm going to jump. I just don't want it. Kausalya gets very moved then, looking at, his own lack of desire for power and the fact that when Rama didn't come at the said time to take back the kingdom, he's just going to end his life, right? So Kausalya then says, what kind of a man are you? What kind of a man are you that, how can you be so much of dharma all the time? You are crores of Ramas put together. Even crores of Ramas can't be as good as you. Now, Kausalya for a second time now elevates Bharata to be as good as crores of Ramas put together. Vishwamitra says Bharata is equal to Rama. Kausalya says Bharata is better than Rama. Guha says Bharata is 1,000 times better than Rama, and now Kausalya again says Bharata is crores of times better than Rama. You see, when you look at all of this, Bharata ends up being a bigger hero in the Ramayana, in Kamban's Ramayana, even better than Rama. He's a bigger hero than Rama himself. It's not to create controversies. Of course, Rama is the hero, but when you look at Bharata's characterization in isolation, he comes out as even better than Rama. Now, what makes Bharata so good, right? What did Rama do? What all did Rama do to become the hero? He had to be a good son. He had to go to the forest. He had to kill Rakshasas. He had to protect Rishis and Munis, Sadhus and Rishis. He had to break the Shiva Dhanush. He had to do a lot of things, right? So he had to kill the evil Ravana. So he had to do all of this, and then he becomes the hero. But Bharata, without having to do any of such acts, becomes a hero. How did he do that? And that is where this amla, nellikkai, gooseberry comes back. All that Bharata did throughout his life in Kamban's version of Ramayana is, deep within, he built dharma. He built a solid core dharma. And then he didn't care about external actions, or everything else took care of themselves. He just aligned his external behaviors to his internal dharma. So if you have to become even bigger than Rama, all you have to do is first align your external behavior to who you are internally, and second, internally ensure dharma is at the core of everything you do. Why then this amla, right? If you look at an amla, it's got stripes on it outside, and it's got a seed inside, obviously. If you cut open the berry and then you get to the seed will also have markings on it. The markings inside the seed will absolutely line up, will be the same as the markings outside on the berry itself. This is total alignment to what is inside and what is inside and what you see outside. What you see is what you get, right? That is the speciality of gooseberry or amla or nellikkai. This is the only known fruit, vegetable, berry which is totally aligned on the outside and inside, which is what Vasishta foresaw of Bharata being. He would be a dharmic whose internal character and external attitude will be always in line, aligned, and he is born to rule, but he would never rule. That is the story of Bharata, and that is how Kamban characterizes Bharata as an amla. உலகம் யாவையும் தாம் உளவாக்கலும் நிலைபெறுத்தலும் நீக்கலும் நீங்களா அழகிலா விளையாட்டுடையார் அவர் தலைவர் அன்னவர்க்கே சரண் நாங்களே.